Okay.
Backside.
Okay, at tagisako. Where's the smoke here?
Kaloko.
Oh, I know why.
Flower. One more secret.
Amo na kabati ninyo.
Boss ng
Scored.
Mo na diha rang laay mo sudra.
Could be behind you, Sage. The Astra.
Ros, asa
Could be
mo
behind you,
ka?
Sage. Could be behind you.
Sir James
Not the guy.
Razo.
Oh,
No, he doesn't.
-50.
Yeah.
The fuck is
Yeah,
happening,
okay, he
Jason? I
knows
don't
I lied.
understand.
He knows.
kumusta na mga Jogs?
Asa ka?
Okay, abot ang pagkaon, Kin. FK sa okay na. Boto na rin.
Pagay ka raz.
FF.
Pohon.
Nasa tanim pohon.
Raz.
Na. Ikita dyan yung musin eh.
Oh my god.
Asa mo ka? Ato Ros ni uli mo ka?
So.
Oh my god.
Aw. Oday.
Nandaot ka.
Dagdag.
Toyota! What do you know?
Toyota!
Man, you can get my outlaw.
Oh!
One lang.
Invo? Ay, gago. Ito siyang tili, pareho mag-effect ni Invo.
Stir fry. Stir fry.
Si Bindo ba nang boyo yung
Close
diba?
right.
Na shot.
Ay, ito na one tap man.
Not bad.
Only one.
Just super like the armor, but
Buwan eh, buga ka niya. Sunyi gang. Dala ba dyan yung quick wave? Tanga yata ni Miss.
Guard, may baliw dito.
90p, Jules.
$140 Astra. Get
That's
my
your
outlaw.
gun.
Bomb lang, Renz. Oh, you gotta worry about
Why
me.
did we? What was?
Let's
Hey,
pump it
so-
on second.
Oh, I think we rotate, guys.
I'm droning. Oh, you peek. Yes. One more gun in art. Na-outlaw sa art kin. Kuha mo.
I have the.
One backside.
Hey!
Try him in.
Luhat niya
Dire,
dito.
Oh, one art.
Dire pa dong, Renz. Paana, bantay lang.
Ano? Flower.
Back
Out, flower. Backside. What the hell is that nerd shit? What
No,
is
he
that
has
nerd shit?
he has the nerd shit, bro.
What is...
What a Sigma.
What is...
Yeah.
Those on the wall.
Nice.
I'm dead still.
You guys did not call. I am level 6.
When you call missing pudge.
Mine is
Hindi,
not
no?
much.
What porn eh?
Hindi. Hong Kong.
The other Renz.
Unsa ni build na ni ron?
Joling.
Unsa ni meta items ron do?
2. Oh, upper.
We don't know.
Wala kayo, Karon nakabalik duha, Jules.
Oh.
Ako matog mid.
Tayo.
Go. Jet and Chamber B.
Coming, I'm coming. Patay
Bro,
ko.
wala ka step. What the fuck? Kasi na item build karon. May items the fuck.
Not sure. Balik boto eh, di ba? Ikaw core?
Naganins niya. Increases only pulls any hero. Kus ganun.
Wala, ako yung na-carry with it. For some reason.
High armor man sila.
Wala ka.
Base mo. Doon ko na bilo.
Oh?
Tyrants die.
Ako sad, padawang ka.
Okay, TP. 18 seconds.
I got hook for you.
Let's go.
Give me champion Sabada.
Kaya ako si Mambera.
You want to play? Let's play.
Gawas ng kanto sa harap.
I wanna play my cock.
Which blade? High armor mas na.
More cross.
Base so.
Or just right click.
We can go back 3-3. We can go back. 3 there, 3.
Yes, boy. At tayo.
Kill that bitch.
Chamber ano no?
Yes, they have this sock.
Second.
Don't worry.
Ay, pa third ko. We got him, Rance.
Pumasok.
Nang timber nga.
Oh, fuck.
Another timber.
Timber dali. Motords ako sa akong guling, ano? Okay man.
Ah!
What the fuck?
Yan na patch.
Ogo, anak ko eh.
No. Off. One flank.
Two flank.
One more. Two flank. One more. Flank. Lol. Yes.
We should back to the...
Asagura sa to nila ng flank sila tanan.
Flank sila tanan.
They are stupid.
Ano nito yung pang sila tanan. Blob.
Pantay, Rance. You wanna run? Wanna what?
Big.
Kaitan?
Tayo na. Patay, sakit rin.
I will rush you, Resmi.
Yo, enemies. Oh my god, mga ano ba yun? Oh.
Hindi may gibot ready.
Kasakit sa March.
One flank.
GG. Noob.
Sight and flank. Oh,
Times 3.
Kaya natin kay Phoenix eh.
Wa man nila set ang Goodwing. Ako.
Tama mo balik ko sa light. Turbo man.
Endurance.
Na may toss.
Maniwala ang Sage.
Wala Genie times.
Ilsa, Ilsa.
Wala yan. Na! Ay,
Kami John first.
Padong bot ang toss.
Nakalog din rin.
Lah.
Nakuha.
Lihok yun.
Onside,
Una.
onside.
Ito tinuod to.
Real.
Ano yun? Dali rin yung mapapas. Tuwag ko army.
Go. First jet.
Either that or BTS.
Pusha.
Hala.
Yeah. No. Oh, there's two paths though.
You can just hide, JC.
Pusha again. Ada rin.
kami skill eh.
I will just mute the Discord for now, guys. Guys, wanna watch some videos while we're opening packs? I'm actually gonna watch the recap for the World Championship chess game. I haven't watched. I didn't stream because I was busy this past weekend, and I also got home. So as you can see in the background, I'm already at my home for the holiday season. So yeah, we're gonna have a really great stuff today. Okay, let me check. Definitely.
Welcome back, everyone. For today's video, we are going to be taking a look at game number 12 of the 2024 FIDE World Chess Championship, which is taking place in Singapore between Ding Liren from China and Gukesh Domaraju from India. Now, yesterday, Gukesh had an epic victory to take the lead by a score of 6-5 as we
Wait a
head
minute.
into the home.
I just wanna just up. Cube. Spotify. I need to remove the Spotify. Yan, mga na siya. Yan, mukhaan. Kaya na! Kaya na! Kaya na! Ah, fuck. Tol. Dali ko utog eh. Down siya. Ah.
Stretch of the match. Now, Gukesh is on the brink of becoming the youngest world chess champion in history at the age of 18 years old, but with 3 games left, anything could happen. Now, on top of that, from a historical standpoint, in the last World Championship match, Ding was behind by a score of 6-5, heading into the 12th game where he would win against Jan Nepomniachtchi. That would eventually lead to tiebreaks where he would win the World Championship title. So 3 games left. Gukesh has 1 game with white, 2 games with black. If he can survive the 2 games with black pieces, he will achieve his dream. All right, so let's get right into the action. We have Ding with the white pieces, and the game starts out with the move c4. After c4, we now get the move e6 being played by Gukesh. This is a move that does
Switch to Lazada's 12/12 sale that starts on December 9, 8 p.m. Shop now.
Well, let's begin.
does not
Douglas! Kaya na! Again!
This is a move that does
Douglas! Kaya na! Kaya na! Douglas! Kaya na! Kaya na! Ay! Ang sakit mo, Douglas. Ay! Kaya na!
not surprise me, all things considered, because the English opening is completely fine, but this line that Gukesh played earlier in the match with bishop to e7, where white can play d4 or knight f3, d6, d4, it is completely fine, but objectively, I think it is more of a surprise versus stable choice to play consistently. So we get e6. Now we have g3, d5, and we get the move bishop g2. Now, one of the funny things about this opening, or I should say one of the ironies, is that in yesterday's game, which Gukesh won, it started out with knight f3, d5, c4, and one thing that everybody was wondering is why did Ding not play e6 here? And if he had done that, it's very likely we would have gotten something very similar to today's game. So back to this game. We get g3, d5, bishop g2. This is a classic Catalan setup. You put the bishop on this long diagonal. You fianchetto it as soon as possible. And now we get to move knight f6. Now, in the 2021 match between Jan Nepomniachtchi and Magnus Carlsen himself, we had a very similar situation where the black played d4, knight f3, knight c6, d3, bishop c5, and castles in that match. A little bit different than today, but Magnus did play d4 in that ninth game, which he would win to clinch the title. So I just want to point it out because in this game, after knight f6, knight to f3, now Gukesh plays the move d4. Now this move is fine, but it is a move that I am actually a little bit surprised by because these days the Catalan systems with bishop e7, castles, and d4 tend to be considered very, very rock solid for black. Black generally doesn't have a lot of issues in these setups. White can also play moves like b3. This is what that streamer Hikaru plays a lot. But after c5 and knight c6, generally black is doing completely fine. So back to the game. After knight to f3, now we get this move d4. Here we have castles, and Gukesh plays the move knight to c6. Now we get the move e3 being played, and here we have the move bishop to e7. After bishop to e7 is played in this position, we get the move d3 from Ding. Now it's worth mentioning here that Gukesh could have played the move e5 here to overprotect the pawn in the center, but that being said, he clearly is in his preparation when he goes bishop to e7. So, after bishop to e7, now we get the move d3 here. We get d takes e3, bishop takes e3, and here Gukesh plays the move e5. After e5, we get the move knight c3, and now Gukesh castles his king. Now, as you can tell, once again, we're in a very familiar situation with Ding being down 30 minutes on the clock here, and Gukesh being in his preparation. So here we got the move rook to e1, and this is the first moment where Gukesh starts to think here, and we get this move h6 being played. Now, one thing that's very apparent after the next move is that it's pretty clear that at this point, Gukesh had looked at the top computer.
Sa edad mo, dapat ba hinay-hinay na? Tuloy ang tibay sa tulong ng Bear Brand Adult Plus.
I can do this. Dan.
We just got a new mattress. When looking to upgrade your mattress, the best way to know if it's right for you is to sleep on it.
Cool.
With Emma, there's a mattress for all kinds of people. You can take time browsing their mattresses online or in store in one of their retail partners, and try out any of their mattresses at the comfort of your own home for 100 nights with easy return and a full refund if you decide otherwise. They also offer installment payments and different payment options so you can feel the Emma difference today. Ergonomically designed for all body types and sleeping positions, the Emma original
line, which which was pawn to a3, and after a5, rook to e1, he was going to play the move h6, because in the game, we get this little bit of a think after rook e1 from Gukesh before playing the move h6, but now after a3, he immediately blitzes out a5, and it's abundantly clear that we have transposed back into Gukesh's preparation. So on move number 12, Gukesh is maybe very, very slightly worse at this point, but it's looking really, really good for him, right? I mean, he's in his preparation. He's mostly survived the opening, up a lot of time on clock. He's done his job. However, there are some drawbacks to this position, and the two main drawbacks that stand out to me right away are that white has a very easy way to open up the position and simplify. So, for example, if Ding gets really low on time, let's just say we got to move like rook e8. I guess it's white's move here. Say we get d4 takes, and c6 here. White can simplify to where there are two open files on the board, and you'll look at the pawn structure. It's symmetrical pawns on the queen side and the king side here. Not a whole lot is going on. So you can never really end up in trouble. So you can never really end up in trouble here, which is always a good thing, because when you use a lot of time early, you always want to have that bailout option. It's always good to get bailed out, especially if it's by the United States government. So after a5, we get the move h3 here. This is the move that's designed to stop black from playing either knight g4 or bishop g4 here. One thing that black would love to do is to play something like knight g4, trying to trade the knight for the bishop. If you move the b, there always are ideas like bishop c5 to put pressure on the diagonal. So in this position here, after a5, we get h3. It stops knight g4. It stops bishop g4, which could potentially pin the knight on f3 as well in this position. And here, after h3, we get this move, bishop to e6 being played. Now, for Gukesh, this is the reasoning behind playing h6 as well, which is it stops white from going knight g5 or bishop g5. So both sides have put their pawns on h3 and h6 respectively to stop all the ideas on these squares. And now we have a very balanced situation. Here we got the move king to h2, and now Gukesh plays this move rook to b8. Now, after we get this move rook to b8 being played in this position here, we now get the move queen to c2. After queen to c2, Gukesh plays the move rook to e8, and now we get the move knight b5. Now, it's still a position which is relatively balanced at this point, but that being said, it's already starting to trend in a very specific direction. Now, rook b8 itself is a very mysterious move, I'm going to be honest, because it's a move that doesn't really do a whole lot. Now, what I think happened here, we haven't heard the press conference yet from the game, is that I think Gukesh's idea is that he wanted to go knight d4, and then down the road, he wanted to go c5, and he figured the rook on b8, it guards the pawn, no threats on this long diagonal. Very logical, right? But the problem is now after queen c2 and rook to e8, we get the move knight b5, and it's starting to go the wrong way. One line I want to point out here that could have occurred was knight to d4, and after takes, knight b5 and c5, white should probably sack the rook with rook takes bishop, and after takes and queen to e2, even though white is down a rook for a horse here, white is doing very well because the pawn on e6 is super weak. There also are some weak squares around the king on g8 as well. So after queen c2, we get the move rook to e8, and now Ding plays knight to b5, and here we get the move bishop f5. Ding plays rook a d1, logical move, guarding the pawn on d3. So after we get rook a d1, now Gukesh plays knight d7, and this is really a start of going the wrong direction, but frankly, I cannot fault Gukesh because at this point, it's already very difficult to play from a human perspective. Now, we're probably thinking, well, computer says it's equal. It's like 0.3. What's the big deal? The big deal here is that we're in a situation where Gukesh has no obvious moves, no obvious plans, and for Ding, it's very straightforward. He has the towers on the D and E files, which both have the potential to open up. So let's say you play a move like bishop f8 as a sample line after queen c3. Let's say you go bishop g6. White will play d4, and after the trades occur on d4, I'm just setting up one example of it, you'll notice that the two Bs are on some great diagonals potential. I'll even put the bishop on f4 to illustrate it better. The Bs are on great diagonals. The knight is in the center. You have the rooks on the two open lanes. The rook on b8 and queen on c8 are simply sitting behind these two pawns, and they're very passive pieces. So at this point, for Ding, it's very, very easy to play. He has one idea to play d4 and open up the files in the middle of the board, open up the diagonals for the Bs, and it's very, very difficult to come up with a plan. So we get knight d7. On top of also that general idea, this knight on b5 is a huge issue because it's always pressing the pawn on c7, and because you put the pawn on a5, this bastion will sit here for the entire game. So we get knight d7. Ding plays the move queen to d2 here, and this is an excellent decision. Ding uses quite a bit of time, 16 minutes before playing this move, but this is an all-star move, and this shows that one of the things that I was thinking about before this game began is that there's a good saying that is someone who has nothing to lose is at their most dangerous. And in this match, or in this game, I should say, Ding is in that situation. He's already down by 1 point. It doesn't matter if he loses this game, loses however many games. He is behind. He has the option to go all in. He is basically freed by the match situation. And when you're in that situation, it's a lot easier to play. So we get queen d2. Now Gukesh plays move bishop g6, and this is also a mistake here. The line that Gukesh had to play here was this move knight to c5. There is a computer line with a4, but frankly, it's not really human in my opinion, because after d4, e4, knight g1, this is going to lead to something very similar to the game, in fact, where you have a big white center, pawns on d4 and c4, a weakness on a4, and there's even bishop f4 to target the pawn on c7. Combine that with the weak pawn on e4 as well. You have 1 weakness, 2 weaknesses, 3 weaknesses, and everything is collapsing. So knight c5 was really the critical move here. Now you will notice from the clock here, Gukesh was up 20 minutes on this move. He spends a bunch of time before playing his next move. This is probably a move that he rejected because I think ultimately he looked at this line that could have occurred in the game with d4, knight to d3, attacking the tower, d5, white sacks the rook, you take with the queen, and after knight d4, takes, attack the bishop, bishop goes, you take the pawn, and after bishop to f6 and c5 here, white has a horse and 2 pawns for the very passive rook on b8, and white is a little bit better. Now, do I think white is winning here? Absolutely not. Do I think Gukesh should have gone for this? Absolutely 100%. He should have played this. Now, of course, it's easy for those of us sitting at home with access to the computer, not feeling the pressure of the moment to say these things and be like, oh, he should have done this, it's super easy, when in fact it isn't, because the players of the board obviously don't know what the objective evaluation is. So, I think Gukesh probably spent a lot of time looking at that line, ultimately rejected. I think he's probably worried about something, and he plays a very natural human move. Bishop to g6 here, retreating the bishop out of the center of the board and intending to maybe go e4 or push p with f5. Now Ding plays the move d4, attacking in the center of the board, and at this point things are getting very, very scary because black has all these passive pieces. The rook on b8, very passive. Queen on d8, very passive. Knight on d7, not active. All of white's pieces have achieved perfect harmony. They're all doing something. Knight on b5, hits the pawn on c7. White has a wooden shield on e3. Long bishop on this diagonal towards the pawn and the knight, like in a Catalan. Rook's on the 2 open files. Queen here, double stack. Everything in this position is leading to a very promising position for the player with the white pieces, in this case, Ding Liren. So we get the move e4 here. Gukesh trying to keep the center of the board closed. If he were to take, just to show you guys the sample line, white can go bishop f4.
Switch to Lazada's 12/12 all-out Pasko sale now. Shop now.
New Oreo budget pack. Available in vanilla and chocolate.
Really going after his pawn on c7, and after rook c8 and knight takes d4, let's just say black takes, queen d4, all of black's pawns are loose. Here, there's all kinds of pressure on the 2 central files, and Gukesh is simply getting crushed. So he plays e4. Now we get to move knight to g1. At this point, there's a bit of a big white center. The pawn's on c4 and d4. Additionally, white has the idea of bishop f4 again to pressure the pawn on c7. And the pawn on e4 is weak. And at this point, it's still objectively only a little bit better for white. But while I was doing my live commentary on my Kick channel, I already was predicting a victory for Ding Liren. So we get knight to b6, pressuring the pawn on c4. And here we have the move queen c3 being played by Ding. Now, the reason that white is so much better is mainly that the pawn on a5 is weak. White can always push these pawns to harass these knights in the center of the board. And there's also bishop f4. It's the weakness on e4. It's the weakness on c7. The weakness on a5, and these knights being weak on the queen side of the board. So 4 big issues here. It's really, really hard to defend. This also, of course, shows once again why computers are so strong at chess, because it's still only a small advantage. But in human practice here, I frankly think that considering the time situation, it's almost impossible to defend. And when you add in the pressure that Gukesh is no doubt feeling here, with the potential to become the youngest world champion in history, it's just very tough to play. So he goes bishop f6 here. Last moment to try and do something here was f5. But again, in a human game, I think this move is almost impossible, because without knowing that it's the best move, there's so many issues. There's bishop f4, there's like queen b3, there's d5, there's c5. There's so many issues, and you feel like tactically you're going to hang something. And if you spend 15 to 20 minutes on this move, you'll be below 10 minutes, and you're simply going to lose because without an increment, you're not going to be able to play precise chess. And if you use 15 minutes calculating and you're wrong and you lose, then you have to play something else. So it's a lose-lose situation. So it's better to try and play quickly, which is why we get the move bishop.
The fuck?
To f6 being played. So after we get bishop f6, Ding plays the move queen to c2. Now this is a move that maybe the computer doesn't love, but it's a very logical human move.
What the fuck? Why the fuck is there an error, man? I don't know what's happening right now.
And you feel like tactically you're going to hang something. And if you spend 15 to 20 minutes on this move, you'll be below 10 minutes, and you're simply going to lose because without an increment, you're not going to be able to play precise chess. And if you use 15 minutes calculating and you're wrong and you lose, then you have to play something else. So it's a lose-lose situation. So it's better to try and play quickly, which is why we get the move bishop to f6 being played. So after we get bishop f6, Ding plays the move queen to c2. Now this is a move that maybe the computer doesn't love, but it's a very logical human move because the bishop puts pressure on the pawn on d4. There's a little bit of a pin. So when you move the queen, you free yourself to start pushing p with d5, d6, or c5 as well. And you're really not hanging anything, and you're putting pressure on the pawn on e4. So now we get the move a4 from Gukesh. This is a bit of desperation here, frankly. He's trying to create some pressure on the queen side potentially. But at this point, it's more about just making moves and hoping that Ding will collapse the way that he has in previous games. So here Ding plays move knight e2, and this move is a really good move, but more than being a good move, what really starts to impress me as we look at this is the time usage. Now, I've been extremely critical of Ding Laurent's time usage throughout this match, but in this game, it appears that he's finally starting to turn the corner. He's starting to try and play a little bit on the clock, because even though this move is natural and obvious, he plays this move right away. There's no hesitation, no thinking. He plays this move after 20 seconds, and now he's trying to use all facets of the game, not just play the best move, but also put pressure on the clock. When you start doing this, it becomes very difficult for your opponent. So now we get the move bishop g5 from Gukesh. This is a blunder, after which black is in serious trouble, but already here it's very hard to play. Computer wants knight to a5, and after c5, you have knight b c4 here. Frankly, after knight f4, attacking the bishop, black can move the bishop here. If you were to take the pawn on a4, for example, there's c6, which gets very tricky with the knights being guarded, all kinds of forks here. But you can simply go bishop f1, and after takes, the pawn on a4 is weak. If you get knight b3 and bishop c4, suddenly there's massive pressure on this diagonal. There's rook f1, and black is losing very, very badly. So we get bishop g5. Now we have the move knight to f4 from Ding, and this is a critical move here because Ding has seen the boogeyman a lot in this match at times, and this is a move where you could very easily see the boogeyman. You can see takes, e3, and you're like, uh-oh, there's a fossil, the queen's under attack, pawn's under attack, something bad's gonna happen in the center of the board. But Ding is classically Ding chilling at this moment, and luckily for him, there isn't a whole lot to calculate after e3, queen e2, because after takes, pawn on c7 is super weak. Let's just say black were to trade the rooks and go rook c8 to guard this pawn here. Now white can play d5, knight a5, and you play bishop takes pawn, rook takes, queen takes knight, and now white is winning in an endgame. So here we get rook c8 right away from Gukesh, and now we have the move queen c3 from Ding. Now this is a vintage move, queen c3 here, once again dodging the fossils, but also setting up a nasty idea, which is to play d5 here, after which black cannot put this knight on the e5 square. So
Ha? Sa? Klaro siya diha. Alright. Okay, we're good, we're good. Okay. We're good, we're good.
And you feel like tactically you're going to hang something, and if you spend 15 to 20 minutes on this move, you'll be below 10 minutes, and you're simply going to lose because without an increment, you're not going to be able to play precise chess. And if you use 15 minutes calculating and you're wrong and you lose, then you have to play something else. So it's a lose-lose situation. So it's better to try and play quickly, which is why we get the move bishop to f6 being played. So after we get bishop f6, Ding plays move queen to c2. Now this is a move that maybe the computer doesn't love, but it's a very logical human move because the bishop puts pressure on the pawn on d4. There's a little bit of a pin. So when you move the queen, you free yourself to start pushing to d5, d6, or c5 as well. And you're really not hanging anything, and you're putting pressure on the pawn on e4. So now we get the move a4 from Gukesh. This is a bit of desperation here, frankly. He's trying to create some pressure on the queen side potentially. But at this point, it's more about just making moves and hoping that Ding will collapse the way that he has in previous games. So here Ding plays move knight e2, and this move is a really good move, but more than being a good move, what really starts to impress me as we look at this is the time usage. Now, I've been extremely critical of Ding Liren's time use, all facets of the game. Not just play the best move, but also put pressure on the clock. When you start doing this, it becomes very difficult for your opponent. So now we get the move bishop g5 from Gukesh. This is a blunder after which black is in serious trouble, but already here it's very hard to play. Computer wants knight to a5, and after c5, you have knight b c4 here. Frankly, after knight f4, attacking the bishop, black can move the bishop here. If you were to take the pawn on a4, for example, there's c6, which gets very tricky with the knights being guarded and all kinds of forks here. But you can simply go bishop f1, and after takes, the pawn on a4 is weak. If you get knight b3 and bishop c4, suddenly there's massive pressure on this diagonal. There's rook f1, and black is losing very, very badly. So we get bishop g5. Now we have the move knight to f4 from Ding, and this is a critical move here because Ding has seen the boogeyman a lot in this match at times, and this is a move where you could very easily see the boogeyman. You can see takes e3, and you're like, uh-oh, there's a fossil, the queen's under attack, pawn's under attack, something bad's gonna happen in the center of the board. But Ding is classically Ding chilling at this moment, and luckily for him, there isn't a whole lot to calculate after e3, queen e2, because after takes, pawn on c7 is super weak. Let's just say black were to trade the rooks and go rook c8 to guard this pawn here. Now white can play d5, knight a5, and you play bishop takes pawn, rook takes, queen takes knight, and now white is winning in an endgame. So here we get rook c8 right away from Gukesh, and now we have the move queen c3 from Ding. Now this is a vintage move, queen c3 here, once again dodging the fossils, but also setting up a nasty idea, which is to play d5 here, after which black cannot put this knight on the e5 square. So here we got the move knight b8, and this is a desperation move from Gukesh. He spends 6 minutes before playing it. At this point, the only move to maybe try and keep some hope alive is f6, because after d5, now you can put the knight on e5. And after d6, c5, probably from a human perspective, you would get d7, forking the rooks, and after knight takes pawn, you refork them with the horse. You'll win some material, and you should win the game. But the show goes on, whereas the actual best computer line is frankly not human. I don't think anybody would play it, which is to trade on e4. Sack the rook with takes, and then queen f3 here, winning the pawn on b7, and white is winning the game. Now, will this happen? Almost certainly not, but I just feel like I should show it anyway. So here, Gukesh spends 6 minutes. He plays the move knight to b8 here, and this is a move that effectively loses the game on the spot, but it's very interesting to note that at this point, Ding is up 10 minutes. There are many ways to win the game, but ultimately, he plays this move d5. Now, I don't know if there's a style points or if Ding missed a move, which wins the rook here, but either way, it is still very strong. But I should point out that knight to a7 would trap this rook on c8. There are no squares available, and after knight d7, takes, and f3 with the 2 towers on these files, the diagonals opening for the light square, or for the white Bs, white will win the game. Instead, we get d5. Now Gukesh plays queen d7, and here we get d6. Ding is thrusting with his pawn, pushing p up the board here, and Gukesh plays c5. If he were to take the pawn here, there are many ways to win. There's knight d6, forking D's rooks. You also have rook d6, attacking the queen and the knight, and winning a ton of material as well. At any rate, you can't allow this, so we get c5. After c5, we get knight to c7 here, attacking the rook, and now Gukesh plays the move rook f8. Here Ding takes the juicer on e4, we get knight to c6, and now we have the move bishop g2, and at this point, the dust has settled here. Ding is simply up a pawn. It is a very far past pawn on d6. You have the two b's, you have the rooks on the two files, which can open up here. And at this point, barring some sort of epic collapse from Ding, we are going to have a tied match after 12 games with a score of 6-6. So after bishop to g2, we get the move rook c d8 being played here, and now we have this move knight to d5. Now this is a move that I really like. It's not the absolute top computer move, but what it's doing is it is simplifying the position into a situation where there is zero risk, and it's just going to be a long-term win. So now we get knight takes knight, here we get pawn takes, and here in this position, after pawn takes d5 here, we now get this move knight to d4. After knight to d4 is played here in this position, sorry, 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. Or not knight to d4. Sorry, we get this move knight to b8 being played. After knight to b8 is played, now we get the move queen takes c5, and here we have the move rook to c8 here by Gukesh. Now Gukesh is hoping that he can put the knight on d7, set up some kind of fortress at this point, but frankly, it's just not happening. After rook to c8, now we get the move queen to d4 being played, and here Gukesh goes knight to a6. Now it's already a spot where Gukesh could resign. He's simply down 2 pawns in the center of the board. White is going to create the kebab with rook to e7, and all hope is lost. But again, probably want to play a few more moves, just try and hope for some kind of miracle. So we get the move knight to a6. After knight a6, we get the move rook to e7. The kebab is in play, and now we have queen b5. After queen b5, we get d7 here. Ding continuing to push his p and be relentless, and here we get this move rook to c4. After rook to c4 is played, we get queen to e3, and now we have rook c2. Last-ditch effort from Gukesh to maybe create his own kebab, some pressure towards the white king, but with his pawn on d7 so far up the board, it is all for naught. So after rook c2, we get bishop to d6 being played, and here we have the move f6 from Gukesh. This is just a move he plays simply to try and do something here. If you were to play a move like queen takes b2, after rook to e8, you have the pass pawn on d7, you're winning the rook. Let's just say rook f2 takes here. You can do a Botez gambit, sack the queen, create a new queen, and now you're up 2 towers here, and it's all over. So with this threat of rook to e8 looming in the position, Gukesh decides to play f6, just trying to stop rook e8 because the bishop and the rook cover the square. But now Ding decides to finish the game in classic meme fashion here. He sacks the rook with rook takes pawn. And here Gukesh resigns because after king to h8, I take on h6, and queen h7 is simply checkmate here.
Damn.
And if you take the rook on g7, I can take your rook with check. If you take the bishop, I create a new queen. Now with D's queens, I'm checkmating very easily here. And if you play a move like, I don't know, king g8, for example, you can queen, or even queen h6 with queen g7. Classic lolly checkmate looming as well. All roads lead to Rome. So after Ding sacks the rook with rook takes g7, Gukesh resigns this game, and out of nowhere, thunder has struck. Lightning has struck once again, with Ding miraculously winning the 12th game in his second World Championship match in a row, where he was behind by 1 point, and all of a sudden, the match is just tied at 6. So out of nowhere, yesterday's game has been completely erased with his victory by Ding. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I think that ultimately for Ding, the fact that he lost the game yesterday and was behind, when you're in a must-win situation, it really does free the mind. You can sort of start playing freely. You don't have to worry about just trying super hard not to lose the game. You're freed up, and when you're free to play as you please with no risk, no worries, you know, if you lose the game like an idiot, nobody's going to care because you were behind. You had to take that chance. You can play at your full potential. So for Ding, this is a massive victory for him. He is very much back in the match now. Who knows what's going to happen, frankly, after this game. But the pressure once again flips tremendously from Ding to Gukesh now, where Gukesh thought he had the match won, but now he's going to have to try and win a second game in a row with the white piece. If he doesn't win, then Ding has a choice of making a draw in the last game or trying to win it all in regulation. But at any rate, it is a huge shocker, and this match has been providing us with so many surprises, and we really, really look forward to the next couple of games. So, really exciting stuff, definitely unexpected, but from Ding's perspective, he shows why he is the world champion, how capable he is when he just puts it together. And so I think everybody is really excited as we head into the home stretch with the final.
There you go. Press
Switch to
conference,
Lazada's
guys.
12/12 sale that starts on December 9, 8 p.m. Shop now.
Sa work, senior manager. Pero sa bahay, manager ng seniors. Si Mama.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here to watch the press conference after game number 12, which ended in a huge victory for Ding Loren. The match is now tied 6-6, and let's listen in to hear what the players have to say.
For game 12, the match is now tied at 6 points apiece.
Let's see what they have to say.
I will ask Gukesh a few questions and then open up the floor to the journalist to ask him some questions as well. And then we'll allow him to go in and collect his thoughts while we then ask Ding Loren.
First hot take that I have, you guys, for this press conference, I'm going to be honest, I don't like how they've changed it. I don't like how the players are suddenly, they've changed the format to where the players answer a few questions and then they go if they lose the game. I don't really like that. I feel that in general, it should be very simple. If you lose a game, either you have to stay the whole press conference or you simply don't have to show up. I don't like this in-between that they've started doing. To me, I'm not a big fan of it. It should be either you stay the whole time or they don't have to go because they lost the game and they're very upset. So I don't really like how they've changed this format. I don't like the in-between, but let's keep going.
Answer some questions as well. So first question to you, Gukesh, after the opening phase, when did you feel like there was some difficulty for you in the game?
I thought I was quite comfortable out of the opening, and then I guess after Queen D2 I was really not sure what to do.
You felt fine all the way here?
Yeah, I mean, basically, my general takeaway from this is that the main problem with this game, the main problem with this game, to be honest, is that it ended up in a situation where the position is okay, but it's too easy for one side to play. Like, it's too easy. Ding has one idea: push that P with D4. That's the only idea, and Gukesh has to kind of find a way to stop it or neutralize that idea. And that's actually, even though the position is okay, I think it's just very difficult. I think it's just basically a bad choice objectively, even though the position is equal, because it's too easy to play for white. Too easy.
Yeah, I mean, knight c5, d4, knight d3, d5 was kind of tricky for me.
This was the critical moment,
D4?
yeah. Knight d3. D5, yep.
d5 I thought was quite tricky. So I was thinking what else to do to stop d4, and it was not that easy, and bishop g6 was just a mistake because I missed d4 e4 bishop f4. He has I mean d4, if I take on d4 he has bishop f4, which I missed. So
He missed bishop f4. Okay, fair enough.
after e4 knight g1 I think
It's very tough.
it's already
Very hard to play.
Was this something inside of your preparation, or were you surprised by the opening?
No, I was prepared for a few moves.
No, but you know what's ironic, you guys? Because you know what's ironic in a way. You know what Gukesh did wrong in this game, or his team did wrong? What they did wrong is that they did not prepare the classic Catalan, because they played probably this D4 idea was a big mistake. By Ding, and today it's a big mistake by Gukesh. I think the mistake was that they probably prepared D4 for a game where they wanted to create a game with a lot of play, and then they just never changed it. They never changed it because they'd already looked at it, so they didn't take into account the situation, and they didn't change it for this game. So like I don't really blame them obviously for that, but I think that's the big issue. I think the big issue is that basically they probably prepped it for like a situation where you just want to play chess, and they didn't realize the danger behind it. So it's kind of unlucky from that standpoint for Gukesh, because what he did was fine. It was completely fine. It's just that the moves were much harder for black than for white.
I didn't really exactly remember all the details, but yeah, I was aware of this position.
You won yesterday a very big game. This is a reversal.
And stop with the ads. It's kind of annoying now.
Not easy to react to, but still the score is tied. Your feelings about the new situation?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not pleasant to lose this game, but at least I mean, yesterday I could have also gone either way, so I guess it's fine. at least the score is still tied, and
This is rough, by the way.
there
This
are two
is
more
rough.
Yeah,
games,
that was a
This is-
rough
this-
loss
this is rough.
after a win
let's see.
yesterday.
Yeah, this is rough.
Opening up the floor to reporters to ask Gukesh some questions. Who has the first question for Gukesh?
Hi, my name is Atreo. I work for Rev Sports. My question is for Gukesh. Gukesh, winning and losing is part of sports, but how do you take this? How do you take to this setback?
Tough.
Yeah, obviously this game is a bit of a disappointment. Yeah, luckily I have a rest day tomorrow to recover. But it's nice to know that the score is still tied, and this game this game is not a huge blow for my chances. It's still we're still evenly matched. So yeah,
They aren't evenly
I'll just
matched.
try to play good games in the remaining rounds.
I mean, the mentality is good, but I mean, basically, like, I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is that, like, if he doesn't lose this game, he is winning this match. That's the problem. Like, he is winning this match like 90% plus if he doesn't lose this. So, it's brutal. And this is also the problem. Like, I also, I'm going to be honest, when I see how emotional, turn up the volume should be fine. I'll turn to 0. But when I think about how emotional he is, I mean, I really feel like a lot of this is because the journalists, I feel like the journalists really, I feel like the journalists really, they made it sound like it was over, like it was the cakewalk, like it was the last game that he just won and it's all over. And so I think for him, probably like I mean, you can see the pressure and the feelings, the emotions here. It's like, it's really, really harsh, really brutal, really, really brutal. Let's keep going.
Next question.
Hi, I will be asking my question in Tamil. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Vanakkam. Despite your failure today, I think we are still very excited for the rest of the games. Just wanted to ask, இந்த உலக சதுரங்க வெற்றி விழாவில் வந்து இரு ஆசிரியர்கள், அதாவது ஆசிய நாடுகளை சேர்ந்த இருவர் விளையாடுற முதல் விளையாட்டாக இது இருக்குது வரலாற்றில். அதை பற்றி உங்களோட கருத்துக்கள் என்ன? அண்ட் ப்ளஸ் ஒரு சில டெக்கேட்ஸ்க்கு முன்னாடி சோவியத் ரஷ்யா எவ்வாறு வந்து இந்த விளையாட்டை டாமினேட் செஞ்சதோ அது மாதிரி விஸ்வநாதன் ஆனந்துக்கு அப்புறம் நிறைய இந்தியர்கள், முக்கியமாக தமிழ்நாட்டிலேருந்து பிற இளையர்கள் நட்சத்திரங்களாக சதுரங்க வீரர்களாகிறது ரொம்பவே நம்பிக்கை ஊட்டும்படியாக இருக்கின்றது. அதை பற்றி உங்களுடைய கருத்துக்கள் என்ன? And to represent India and also to come from a South Indian background, அதை பற்றி உங்களுடைய கருத்துக்கள் என்ன அப்படின்னு சொல்ல முடியும்?
I can't translate, you guys, sorry.
Translate that question first, please.
So I asked that in the history of the game, for two Asians to come up and compete in this world arena, it's one of its firsts. And having his Indian and also South Indian background, what would he like to say to the rising stars all over India, especially after Vishwanathan Anand's era?
Happy Monday as well, Donald.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
This is so rough.
In the match, రెండు Asian players first time நடக்கிறது, like it's ஒரு ஸ்பெஷலான மூமெண்ட் தான். ஏன்னா I think recent yearsல நிறைய Asian countries are really like yeah, நிறைய talented players வராங்க. India, China, Uzbekistan, நிறைய countries. So in the match, Asia
losing that game was
just
so
popular
rough.
ஆகும்னு நம்புறேன். And yeah, ஆனந்த் சாருக்கு அப்புறம் நான் சவுத் இந்தியா, ஐ மீன் இந்தியாவிலேருந்து வரது எனக்கு ஒரு பெருமையான விஷயம் தான். ஸோ கண்டிப்பாக I'm very happy to represent.
Wait, I need to adjust. I'm so
represent
sorry.
India and South India.
Just one more question. I will also translate it.
I'm sorry. We're gonna only limit it to one question.
Okay, sure.
If
Thank you
we
so
have
much for
time
your
at the end, we'll bring it back up. Bring you back up. Okay? Thanks.
Switch to Lazada's 12/12 sale that starts on December 9, 8 p.m.
MikeLanglandChess.com. Obviously, my question is for Grandmaster Gukesh. We talk a lot about momentum in sports, and obviously, you just lost this game. But in the second half of the match, objectively, you've been the one pushing and maybe even had more chances. So who do you think has the momentum in the match?
Why? Why would you even ask
in the second half, I had chances in many of the games. Today was obviously a bad game, but I wouldn't draw too much from it. I mean, bad games happen, but if you look at the second half overall, I think we are both playing better than the first half. But yeah, I think uh, I think I had more chances in the second half. So yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, by the way, this is what I'm going to be honest. I don't like it when like someone loses the game and they have to do this press conference. I'm going to be honest. Like I just don't like it because like you put someone in a spot where it's like there's nothing good they can say. Kind of. I mean, like because like for Gukesh, I mean he's been much better. Like he's been much better overall. But it's like this is the problem when you let someone hang around. You let them hang around and out of somewhere, like out of the sky, Ding suddenly returns and plays a great game. But yeah, I don't really like it. I don't like it because you can tell he's just like it's very hard dealing with these questions. Very tough after this loss.
Hi Gukesh, conversations for
Yeah,
loss.
I agree with you,
This is Rajesh
man.
from
If you
Territory.
lost,
We have
you
seen
really
this
don't need
World
to
Championship
attend a
battle
press
being a very
conference or
much a roller
something.
coaster. You said in the previous game that the game itself was a roller coaster. So your thoughts on how you'd categorize this battle? What were your expectations before the match? Would you have taken 6-all scoreline? And do we expect a different mindset going into the final two games?
I think I mean 6-all is overall a fair result, but yeah, since I was leading after yesterday, it's a bit disappointing to lose this game. And about whether it'll change my mindset for the next two games, no, I don't think so. It's still about playing good chess. Yeah, right now I'm a bit disappointed in the game, but I have time to recover and start playing well.
My name is Radha from the Singapore Chess Federation. My question is to Gukesh. What is the best piece of advice that helped you through the championship?
I mean, I did get a lot of advice, but probably just to take one game at a time and give it my best.
All right, there are no more questions. We thank Grandmaster Gukesh for answering those questions. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Good luck in the next couple of games.
No, I mean it's just a tough spot to be in. I mean it's very tough. It's just very tough. There's just like it's tough to ask these questions. He's not in a good place. I mean it's why I just generally I don't think that I don't like the idea of having people when they lose the game. Like if you look at major sports, none of the major sports does the team that loses or the player that loses, do they have to do an interview? Like if you look at tennis at the Grand Slam, when Federer beats whomever it might be, like you don't see a loser out there like answering the questions from Jim Courier or John McEnroe or any of them. So I generally I actually don't like it. I think if you lose a game, you should just be allowed to like just skedaddle, just get out of there.
And
no. Actually, wait. Sorry, you guys would say yeah, you do. You're talking about the final. In the finals, yes. If you lose in the finals, you do, but not if you lose in like the first or second round. No, what are you talking? In a final of a Grand Slam, you do, but you don't have to for any other round. It's only the finals. Only the finals.
To the world champion, and I'll start with a couple of questions. Obviously, yesterday was a pretty tough game to tolerate. How is it that time and time again, though, we've seen you do this 3 times already, last time in the match, and now, once again, after a loss, you bounce back. Where do you find that courage and strength to be able to do that?
Just by chance. Yesterday was a difficult game to deal with, since I was much better at one point, and I just spent too little time on the critical moment. I built a very good position, but after that, I just continued the normal routine and just have dinner and to sleep earlier and be refreshed for this important game.
Talk to me about the position itself. When did you feel
I mean, he already alludes to it here as well. Like, I mean, the big problem that Ding has had in this match throughout this entire match has been his time management. This was really the first game where like he was doing everything. He was doing everything. He was basically moving a little bit quicker at the moments, trying to put pressure on. On the clock as well, obviously at a good position, but he was doing all these things. Like there have been many games where I think he's been down very early, but there have been probably 3 or 4 games when his time has gotten to even. He's had that potential to start pushing Gukesh on the clock, and then he doesn't, and he spoils the time advantage. And I mean, it's not like he would have won those games, but it's probably the single biggest glaring thing that he struggled with throughout the match is the time usage. And today was like he did not struggle. Today he made a lot of good moves. Knight E2 is a good move. He used like 30 seconds. He played Queen C3 and Queen C2. He played a lot of these moves very quickly to where Gukesh had to start spending time. And I mean, I mean, it makes me wonder about the whole match on some level. If he had been moving quicker and he'd been managing his time better, whether we'd be where we are. But it's very hard to judge. But it is good to see that he actually recognizes that.
though you had the position under control?
And only after knight f4, I realized my position much better.
Not before this, because it looked very positive even before this.
Yeah, before this, after knight v5, I'm very optimistic about my chance. Maybe here, and yeah, there are many details.
No, but see, but this is the point. This is what I was saying. This also gets back to what I was saying. Like when I'm so shocked at how like he didn't think he was better in the previous game. Like this is what losing a game does to a guy, or does to a man. I think it's the saying. Like when you lose that game, now you don't have these fears or these worries anymore. Now it's like, you know, you just play chess. You don't care about any of these things. Like all the fear and all the worries and all that stuff is just gone because you're in a must-win situation. So now he's optimistic. It's because in the situation he has to win the game. So by nature you have to be optimistic about the situation. So like it's kind of funny how like the psychology changes. Completely changes when it's like you're worried about losing the game, you're trying to be really tight, you're trying to defend, you're all nervous, and now it's like the exact opposite where you have to be optimistic because you have to win the game.
For example, here if you go knight g4, which looks very good, I would like to play bishop c1. If knight b4, I play bishop f1.
Oh, I didn't even see knight b4. Didn't consider this one.
I don't know who is better here. And he play h6, looks too slow, and I calculate a lot. Playing this,
reasonable.
Maybe he's just in time to defend. If I take, he cannot take with rook. I can both take with this pawn or this pawn. I can take with bishop and
then rook e8 and bishop e6 and just defend.
White.
Yeah.
Position too simple, and bishop restrict by his pawn structure. So I had to come up with some ideas to play slow. And with this, I weaken his b5 square. But if I play knight b5 here, he can go knight g4.
I think it's still good for white, but
no
very
knight e4
understandable.
after bishop c5.
Very understandable to avoid this.
And here, yeah, this move came as a surprise.
Also, actually, you know what? When I did my recap, I forgot about this one. He played king h2 very quickly, which was also an excellent move, like a great move that he played very quickly. I forgot about this in my recap, but king h2 was an excellent move that he played really fast. I think any other day he would not have played that move in 1 minute, but today he did. Excellent move. Excellent time usage.
d7. I'm going to play queen b3. And I don't know if he can go this. If he can put the queen on c8, I think his position is very solid. Or maybe I can take here. If I go here, I go
Ding really played
take.
an amazing game.
If we take, then my calculation stop here. I don't know if white's better or not. After this, here is another critical moment. Maybe he can play this to change the structure.
Was he going to sack the rook?
But I have maybe knight e4.
Oh, what?
Takes.
He was just going to play
c5.
Small edge, but not much. Small edge.
Maybe
He wasn't going to
easier
play knight
play
b5?
for white. And he
This seems reasonable, at least.
He wasn't going to play knight b5. I'm surprised.
Yeah, he lost knight b5. So Here maybe I should play knight b5 already to stop knight d4. But I'm very happy to play knight b5. And this idea came as a surprise to me because he wanted to play either knight c5 or bishop f6. Here I don't know where to put the queen, d2 or c3. If queen c3, maybe here, I don't know. If they take and bishop g6, it seems white also better.
His pieces seem very bottled up in this position. They're fighting for squares, his pieces, while yours seem very harmonious.
Yes, after this, my rook is so well placed on center. Will control 2 open lines after d4 break, queen c3, d4. And his rook, one rook is very passive on b8, and the queen not so idly placed on d8. And here, yes, as he said, I was expecting this. If he take, I take, and I have this version. I have 2 pawns for the exchange, and I take this pawn, which seems good enough. Also,
Switch to Lazada's 12/12 all-out Pasko sale now. Shop now.
Yeah, I mean, Ding had to go for this, though. He had to go for
maybe
this.
just better for white. So here, he also played bishop f6 with the idea e4, but also knight g1.
Same thing.
Similar to the game.
Your center pawns seem to be rolling and holding his pieces back. There's some mention that it's sort of like an Alechine's defense, where black's knights were funnily placed on b6 and c6.
Oh, some Sicilian?
Out the Alekhine. I know this is reverse the same, but out the Alekhine, when the knight finally ended up on b6, but there's no pawn on e6 to control your center. Your center just seemed to be ready to roll at any moment.
I have very strong center. And here I'm deciding where to put the queen, to put on c2 or c3. I put on here, since if after this, after some exchange, I can, if we go knight, I can play some d5, d6, with the queen in better place on c3, but I missed the bishop f6, which is a very important move.
But bishop f6 is a terrible move, right?
Knight d7 with idea c6. Suddenly the knight is has no square. If I go here, maybe you can.
Oh, this is supposed to be very good for white. Bishop f4. Bishop f4 is good for white.
I'm very happy to find queen c2. Maybe still there not so much difference between bishop. And if he go here,
Oh, jeez. I think that's. I wonder, is that the internet or is that chess.com? I mean, that could be either one. I don't know which one that is.
Yes, here. If you go here, I have d5. If knight f5 looks straight, but unfortunately I can't take his pawn. It seems white is better here. I'm very happy to see a4 since I already realized this idea not so strong, since I always have c5 after knight a4. And his knight misplaced on a5. And here, yes, my first intention was to play h4, but it's a very bad move. When I saw this, I thought my position is much, much better.
Correct.
So this is where you're getting a lot of confidence, and of course, the game was dominant after that. Is this one of your best games? Can we say that, or one of your favorite victories?
Yes, it's very important.
I mean, this is easily the best game he's played in the entire match. Not even close. Like there was no real moment in this game that you can say like there was danger. There's no danger. I mean, he used a lot of time early, but the position was pretty straightforward where you always have d4 to open up the center. Like this was like the first complete game he's played in the entire match. First complete game. Never in danger. I mean, even the game he won in game 1, he was in some danger out of the opening, way down on time. Here, like he was down on time, but he always has the simplification. He played king h2 quickly, played knight b5. I mean, this was the first complete game. This was easily This was easily the best game he's played in the match. Not even close. And it's great timing for this to happen right at the end for Ding. Great
Important
timing.
12th game. Yeah, it's maybe the best game I've played in recent times.
Yeah, also maybe true. Also true.
Right. We have reporters.
Yeah, that's actually a good point because when you think about the last 2 years, I mean, he has won like a couple of games, I guess, even before this match. But this game, like, you can't really say that Gukesh made huge blunders. Gukesh made some mistakes, but he didn't make, it wasn't like he hung a piece. He didn't do anything horrible, and Ding just outplayed him from start to finish. So I would actually agree with what Ding says. I think it's probably the best game he's played in 2 years.
Lined up with questions, please.
Michael Rahal from FIDE Media. Ding Liren, first of all, congratulations on a fantastic game.
Truly believe that. I think I'm done watching right now. Capture. What the fuck? Alright, there we go. Very good. of the real TCG purchase. No, I don't do that. I don't buy real TCG. It's a waste of money.
Jaman, Jaman.
Okay tayo dito. Nagubang tayo dito.
Dito na.
No go.
Lusay.
One def.
Ako. Nabay ko.
Tabak sa ulit.
Okay tayo dito.
Tabangin ko.
Pwede pick.
Hit lang.
Badonggo.
Hindi, ayan na. May ano ni.
Kaya na mega ning super crit is tiniyang super 3 yan, pre.
May ano naman.
Balik mo may das para na super 3. Bugo na.
Itip lang do, Abi. Pisting to sa lagnang.
Marunong na GC! Oh, I will not allow!
Tuloy, tayo creeps!
Norkid ko, guys.
Bisris.
End ninyo doon.
End. I'm ending.
Ibalik ka. Gigi. Rans, asa ka?
Wait, sorry, ang creeps.
Wala
Nayaksa. Uy!
Putang ina, kalisod akong life dito. Yawa.
Come back. Trouble?
I'm coming back.
Trouble. Trouble.
10 seconds.
Natubos.
Wala na ba tayo glyph?
Sa doy.
Stay na eh. Nagagagro. Go!
Fuck you.
Lain na to doa. I never again. Fuck that shit.
Iban.
Liw. GG na.
Asakil. Wala, pre.
Get ko. Sa.
Fuck atoy.
Okay, ito.
Sunod na kila.
Master tier.
Rans, help me, Rans. Ang tao ni Rans.
Pwede rin daw.
Line ups.
How do you do this? Holds.
You mentioned yesterday that last year.
Sumukha ni nga GC.
No. They start, buddy. No!
No.
Oh, yeah.
Suryawa eh.
I'm actually sleepy now. The fuck? Why is it stopping? What the fuck is happening? I'm gonna end now. I'm actually sleepy now. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end it there, guys. Kinda sleepy now. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Yes, we'll see.